Hi, I want to take a minute and introduce you to somebody. I'm with one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, and that is my dad, Al Coonley. Say hi to everybody, Dad.
Yeah, it's good to be here together.
My dad's had a pretty interesting couple of years. You've been on my radio show many times.
It's one of the delights of my year.
Yeah. Well, I think a couple of years you've been the favorite guest of the year. Have you not won that award?
I've won the award. I haven't got the award yet.
It's coming.
But I've won it.
We're working on it. Yeah, a lot of times for our 12 Days of Christmas or for Father's Day, or we'll just call you on different stuff. And so there are a lot of people that have been asking about you because they know that it was 2 years ago this January you got diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit of a surprise for all of us, I'm sure for you. So I just thought if we could take a couple minutes and talk about it and catch people up on what you've been through.
Sure.
And I'm sure I can learn a little something. So when you first got your diagnosis, I know that seems like it was a long time ago, but what kind of thoughts ran through your mind? What were your thoughts at that time?
Laurie, I think there's a shock at first that kind of dulls you to the news. Am I hearing this right? You mean there's really no cure? Because the diagnosis was, one of the first things they said was, you're going to die from this. There's no cure. We cannot cure it. And in fact, that's what got us to Baltimore, to the hospital up there, to see whether they could do something. So there's that initial shock.
Right.
That I think, for me, I thought I was kind of invincible.
What's the hardest thing about having cancer for you when you look back over the last couple of years?
Being committed to the battle.
Not giving up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think, and there are several reasons for that. One, you think of the people around you that you affect. And my children, my whole family, my world, close-in world. It's going to change things for everybody. Sometimes the person who's caring for you has a harder time than the one that's going through the struggle.
It's true, isn't it? Because it's so hard to watch you suffer. It's so hard.
And I suspect that one of the things I've learned is his suffering on my behalf through Jesus Christ on the cross is overwhelming. To think he suffered for me. And that really helps me when I recognize that God in heaven cared enough about me to come up with a plan that can take away the fear of death, can give life meaning and purpose, and can help you handle the worst news in the best way.
And it's interesting, I think, too, because a couple of times after I've been with you and I'll leave and I'll think, oh, we just had some great times to talk or whatever. And I think when you know someone is sick with cancer or whatever the disease might be that's threatening their life, you want to make every minute count. But truthfully, none of us know how long we're going to be here. And I just wonder, why don't we treat every single day like that or every relationship like that,
Well, maybe the reality of this in a happening to someone in a family could change that family. Right. And I've seen it in ours.
Yeah.
You're important to your family. You know that.
Right.
But boy, when you're sick and you see how they go into a natural way of dealing with that.
Right.
Kind of overwhelms you. And I found out how much my children love me.
Yeah.
And my wife and my friends. And I think that's one of those blessings God gives you, is at the right time, the right people show up, through which God has a clear message for you. Yes, there's something to learn. One of the things I love is rubbing my feet.
Yeah.
It just,
I love
it
it.
just almost puts me to sleep. It's just a relaxing thing.
Yeah.
Well, I would never thought of any of that. I wouldn't ask anybody to do that. I wouldn't. And yet, I feel closer than I've ever felt.
You learn a lot of things when you go through something like this. Like you were just saying, you learn how much people love you. You know that they love you, but when you see it in action, that's different. If you had to put your finger on one thing that you feel like you've really learned that maybe you were not aware of before, or you just didn't, it wasn't as crystallized before as it's become in the last couple of years, what would you say?
That God is in control.
Hmm.
No matter what I go through, He isn't. He does know what's going on. He has not abandoned me. And when that hits you with real force, I find myself in my meditation talking out loud to Him. I never did that before. I mean, it's like He's so much more personal. That He's right there. So Ann will say, "Did you say something to me?" And I'll say, "Well, maybe indirectly, but let me grasp this truth. God was not surprised when the doctor said you have cancer. The all-knowing God. And that'll get you away from why me and a pity party. I gave the Lord my life, and look what He did to me, and all those things.
Right.
It handles that kind of struggle for you.